So A24 has put out a new film, and for some people that's very exciting, and for others they are rolling their eyes and saying no more pretentious nonsense. I saw the TV Glow. If you hate A24 films, typically because you find them to be way too artsy, way too convoluted or complicated to understand, then oh boy, this one's gonna piss you off. Yeah, I saw the TV Glow. Now, this is the follow-up sophomore effort from the director of We're All Going to the World's Fair, which we were excited for because that movie got a ton of buzz and it was found footage, and we're big found footage enthusiasts.
Yes.
And we actually didn't connect with that film, and after having seen this, and this was something I had already wanted to do anyway, this definitely makes me want to go back and revisit We're All Going to the World's Fair. Now, I think an important note here is this. When it comes to film, some people see film as a way of escapism and mindless entertainment. I mean, film can mean anything to anyone. Films have a multitude of variety that they can offer to an audience. And there are films that are mindless. There are films that are very generic and formulaic and connect with an audience in a way where it's just pure entertainment in a completely unchallenging way. Right? And then there's a lot of different types of films from there. But then there's the art house films that are more abstract, and they make you contextualize and analyze what you've just viewed. And some people don't want to put in that kind of work. And with these films, what I really enjoyed about I Saw the TV Glow and films like it is that these are the kinds of films that when they do land with an audience, when they do land with that specific person, they're going to really land with them. And you don't usually get those as much with like the blockbusters or the more Hollywood, straightforward movies. You know, and that's something that I love about these is these are big swings. And with big swings come big misses, right? So you're going to have half of your audience or more are going to walk out of there extremely disappointed. They're going to be angry. They're going to feel like they wasted their time, that these people are pretentious idiots that, you know, just robbed them of their hard-earned money and that they didn't even try, or like, what the hell was that artistic nonsense? And I just feel like with a film like this, you know, if you are somebody who is completely opposed to more abstract film, then yeah, you probably should skip this. If you saw like Beau is Afraid, or if you saw The Green Knight, or if you saw most A24 films, and you're like, I hate these fucking things, then this is sure not going to be your thing. If you're kind of on the fence about it, these are those movies that you just got to give it a shot, or you just got to watch them, and you never know. They might click with you and they might not, but it's really important to challenge yourself with movies like this, to open yourself up, to broaden your horizons, because this is that kind of movie that you might go into and say, you know, I never thought I might like a movie like this, but I really connected with this because of this, you know, and it's really just going to be a very personal experience for everyone, if nothing else. The one thing I am 100% positive on, and this is an achievement, and this is what I probably like most about the movie, is that this is for sure 100% the director's vision. Film is an art form, and it's expressive in nature, and you can use it to tell all sorts of different stories, and some of them can be personal and some of them can be just completely mindless, and it's just for fun, and it's just fantasy, and you're just expressing cool things, you know. But this is a deeply personal film that I think the director put out here for, you know, an audience that could connect with it, of course. I mean, I don't think you just make film purely for yourself. But what I'm saying is that this is a vision that was fully realized on screen. When I'm watching this, I'm like, this is exactly what they wanted to make. There's no studio compromise here. You don't feel any behind the scenes production fuckery. This is my vision, and it might not connect with anybody, but this is exactly what I wanted to make. So kudos to them for that.
I will just start saying that I loved this movie. It is my favorite movie of the year as of right now. I think that it's definitely a love letter to the shows and movies of our youth that shape us into who we become.
Hence why I threw on my Ghastly Grinner shirt from Are You Afraid of the Dark?
I went with the color match.
Yeah.
This is like blue, purples and pinks. And one of the things that we sort of talked about when we were driving home from the movie theater is that this is the kind of movie where there's so many different interpretations of what's happening in the film and what it means to you. And I think that's a really invaluable quality that the movie has. For people who like to analyze films and relate to them, or, look for symbolism and metaphors and everything, this is like a goldmine. Like, you can find so many different things and but use it to fit some kind of interpretation or theory that you have about what's going on. And I really love that when a movie is able to do it successfully, and I think that this one does. It manages to be both, very personal to the director while also being extremely universal and, multifaceted.
Do you find this to be like a Rorschach test?
Kind of, yeah.
What you see in this is kind of like who you are. Yeah,
that's a really good metaphor or analogy for it. It's definitely like that. This is a movie that I 100% want to watch, many more times and just see how it impacts me at different stages in my life and even just throughout this year, because right out of the theater, I was definitely really enraptured by it. I think it's so beautiful.
She was buzzing.
I haven't really connected to a movie like this, on a very heartfelt kind of soul level in a long time. I don't really remember the last one that impacted me the way this one does, but it's it had the effect of making me feel seen. It put into the visuals and the dialogue and the characters things that I had always felt but maybe didn't have the words to explain them, if that makes sense. And I know that this review so far is very it's very non-specific about things in the actual film, but it just had that kind of impression on me, and I think you too, where we'll definitely talk about some of the more technical aspects of it, but just as an experience, it was beautiful. I loved it. The lighting, the sound design, the acting and the characters, the writing itself, the shots, the cinematography I really loved.
Yeah,
so much of it was just...
It's the best looking movie of the year.
Absolutely.
Thus far, for sure. Now, I say that as someone who is a tad biased because I am a sucker for neon. So anytime neon is used, I'm always going to be like, that's the best looking movie. Right? Like when Blade Runner 2049 came out or something. Anytime I get those neons, the way the sidewalk chalk pops.
Yes.
All that stuff is just so memorable visually.
Yeah, it's so saturated.
Yeah.
Visually, but also
and it's also layered.
Symbolically saturated too, but it is a gorgeous film to look at. I love the color palette. I think that those colors together are some of my favorites too in general. I think that there's something about them that really draws the eye, and it just has a visceral reaction. It just looks really right together. If you are a movie lover and somebody that has loved film and television since an early age, especially if you have a show or shows that you connect with and that you just want to live inside and become characters, I think that you should watch this and see how you feel afterwards.
I just think that this movie is going to connect with a very specific audience. And I don't mean the people who are into art house movies. I mean the people who grew up feeling like they were different or having an affinity for television shows And there's just so many elements of this film that feel so personal, but not only for the director, but for the audience as well, where I'm like, I don't think you're going to like this movie unless you can connect with it. Mm-hmm. And so when I say, if you don't like this movie, you just didn't get it, which is, I think, something that will be said by people. And I think that can usually be taken in a condescending way. If you don't connect with this film on a personal level, I don't think you're going to like it. I think you can respect it. I think you can be like, wow, this is visually stunning. Wow, I see what they're going for. But the connection to the material is where the appreciation and the love comes from, right? So you feel it on a personal level. That's why you enjoy it. We are in the age of nostalgia. This is what we are being inundated with. It's all just hearkening back to the nostalgia of the past. Everything is just trying to reinvigorate this excitement we had for the nostalgic past. This explores nostalgia, but in a different way, right? As to where these are more on the surface and very on the nose, should I say. Where it's like, remember you used to love Michael Keaton as Batman? Well, we're bringing him back as Batman. But this explores your connection to nostalgia in a horror drama way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this movie felt very nostalgic for me as well, because it is set in the 90s.
Yeah.
And we do get time with a kid in the 90s. I related a lot to that because that was more the age that I was closer to in the 90s. And I also think that this is definitely a coming of age story in a lot of ways. So there's also that aspect of the nostalgia. I think anytime you explore coming of age stories, you automatically are kind of transported back to your childhood and, you know, how you got to where you are now as an adult.
Yeah.
So I find that very satisfying with the movie. And I connected really well with the horror. I think it worked well for me. It's definitely A24 style horror, so it's nothing, you know, gory or jump scary. It's very much like the horrors of growing up, too.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
So there's a lot to unpack with the movie. I think that it's a really rewarding watch.
If you get it.
If you get it, and not in a condescending, pretentious way. No. But it is something that if it's meant for you, you will know. And there's a lot of ways that it could be meant for you. Really just phenomenal movie.
I think that we need more movies like this in cinema. So we're going to jump over to the spoiler discussion now. So if you saw the movie and you want to know our thoughts on it, you can join us over there. We'll see you there. Bye.